Hi, everybody. We're going to build a Boxitects castle. So just like in the story where they're designing castles, I'm going to show you how to build one too. Now, we all have different types of boxes. So you might have large boxes, small boxes. It doesn't matter. You can use Kleenex boxes, shoe boxes. This is all about creativity. So sometimes we just use what we have. Other things you're going to need for this build are possibly tape. Any kind of tape will do. But then I'm definitely going to be using some paper towel rolls. We're going to need some scissors, so you might need some bigger helping hands to help you with this. I'm going to be using a pencil, but for this I'll use a marker so you can see it better on the camera. And then you can also find glue. Glue is going to be helpful because it'll make things stronger than tape sometimes. And if you have helping hands, you happen to have one of these at home, I recommend using a glue stick. I love using glue guns and glue sticks because they're super strong, but make sure you get help if you need it. So the other thing we might add to this, depending on if you want, is we're going to need some string. Now, if you don't have string, don't worry. It could be yarn. It could be an old shoelace from a shoe you don't wear anymore, fishing line, whatever. Just something because I'd love to make a drawbridge on your castle. So let's get started to design our castle build. Now, right away, we have options, but typically we're going to need something for the middle of our castle. This is like the main part. We're going to do the drawbridge right in here. Depending on what you want to do, you might be lucky enough to have other boxes. You can see this one, though, isn't quite a big size that I want, so I'm not even going to do that. And hopefully you do have some paper towel rolls because these are going to make amazing ramparts and turrets. The first thing we need to decide is how do you want to build the top of your castle? So a lot of castles have those bricklaying things, so people standing up top, archers or whatever, can see and still defend themselves as well. So most boxes will have something you can open, so you have a choice now. You can keep these here, and we could always tape them together like this. If you have a nice clean box, you could use them on that side. Or we could cut these right off. Remember, get some helping hands if you need them. And we can build our ramparts right up here. So for me, I think I'm going to cut these off only because I only have 3 flaps. I don't have all the other ones. And then always save these because you never know, we might need them for later. All right, there we go. I got a nice clean box there, good cuts, and now I'm ready to build my ramparts. So when I design, I tend to use a pencil first. So for my pencil, I'm just going to make little lines here, but I'm going to show you a marker so you can see what it is I'm doing. Now, I always leave a rampart on the corner because the corners are really hard to cut. Don't worry if you're not perfect because guess what? These are castles. They fall, they're made of stones, so they do not have to be perfect at all. But we're going to make little rectangles around the top. I'm just making 3 only because of the size of my box. You might have lots more. And then we're going to cut these parts out. So remember, if you need helping hands, get helping hands. And if these aren't perfect, don't worry about it. So typically I just cut down first. And I'm going to cut outside my marker just because it's really big. Now, here's a tip. Don't try and cut it like this. All you're going to do, you're going to bend these. So from the top, you can see I'm bending there, and look at that. It almost looks like it's starting to look like a castle already. And then I can do 2 things. I don't even have to cut these off. Watch this. I'm just going to bend these over to the other side. So I don't have to worry about cutting myself or doing like that. And then if you want, if they don't stay flat all the time, just take some tape and tape them down. So as I'm masking tape, I'm just going to take a piece and I'm going to tape that rampart that I don't need down. Look at that. Cool. So let's tape the other pieces down. There we go. There's the ramparts. You can see I made these a little big. That's okay. And now you have the choice. Do you want them just in the front or do you want them to go all the way around? I'm going to cut mine all the way around so I can show you what it looks like and you can choose if you'd like to do that. There you go. I did the rest of my castle. I'll turn around. You can see I even did a better job on this side just because I kind of have an idea how it would work. So sometimes you might want to use a ruler and just kind of measure things out, get some helping hands. I only did 2 on the other side so you can kind of see what it looks like. All right, but this is my clean side. That's what I'm going with. So let's get to the next step, my castle. The next step I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make the drawbridge first. That's going to be easier than attaching these turrets before I get going on my castle. So this one's really easy too. We are just going to make a drawbridge in the middle wherever you want. Now you can make a circular one, a rectangular one. It's totally up to you. I'm going to make mine into a circular one. So I'm going to come up. Mine's going to be a big drawbridge and down. There we go. So this is where we probably need some helping hands because we have to cut along this edge here and we have to get our scissors in there. Sometimes older people have box cutters or X-Acto knives. Maybe they can help you with that, but we have to use scissors for now as well. The only thing we don't want to cut is we don't want to cut the door out because we're going to bend it kind of like we did with these turrets up here. So I'm going to take this castle, I'm going to cut it with my scissors just because it's easier to show you off camera, and then we'll go on from there. So remember to get some big person help. All right, so here it is all cut, and you can see it goes back and forth. Now the nice thing about having an open top is I can just move that, and look at this. Now I got a cool drawbridge for my castle. Now you'll notice I got flaps in here. I might glue these down or tape these down just so everything stays flat. Look at this, I kind of got some cool stuff in here that I can use for decorating. I can even take some of my old pieces of cardboard here and make a little portrait and stick it in there like a royal gala or something. All right, but let's focus on this drawbridge. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach some string, yarn, or whatever so we can make this drawbridge go up and down. All right, so the easiest thing to do to start this off is we're going to take a pencil that's sharpened, and all we're going to do is simply we're going to put a little hole up in the corner here. Now remember, you're not going to see there's a black line because you use pencil, I use marker so we could see it better on the camera. But I'm just going to take my pencil, watch your fingers, I'm just going to make a little hole. Now if you want, you can do it on either side, one side, totally up to you. I think I'll do both sides just to try it out. And there we go. So now I have two holes here and we're going to attach our string there. So grab our string and let's do a long line because you know what? It's easier to cut it rather than try and find out that we did too short and it doesn't work. So let's cut that. So now I have some string here. So we're going to take our door and we are going to feed the string through here. And we're going to make a knot. So let's just tie a knot. I'm just going to go through twice. Knots are tough sometimes. You might need a helping hand. That's just fine. So let's make that knot. Now, here's the long piece of the string, and here's the short. Let's take our scissors, and we're going to cut that short little piece here, just so it's not hanging off. Now you can see we can pull up that little drawbridge right there. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And there we go. Now we have a drawbridge with two strings. Okay, so next, we want to make this, so if you want, you can sort of close the drawbridge. So to do that, you're going to close your drawbridge, and then I want you to put pencil holes right about here. So there's my hole for the drawbridge. Let's move it right about here. Put one, it doesn't have to be perfect, just a hole. Here's the other one here, so let's put that one right about here. Awesome, and now we're going to put those strings right through that hole, just like that. And you're going to pull it all the way through. All right, so now we have a drawbridge, and you see the strings right here, and if I wanted to close it, whoosh, I can just close it just like that. So what I tend to do, because I don't want these strings to go through and then when they pull out, I am just going to put a knot somewhere on the end like this. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I might have to do it a couple times just because I don't want that knot going through the hole. All right, just like that. Trim the edge. And I just kind of leave that floating down there like that. No one's going to see that. All right, so you do the same to the other side. There we go. Trim the edge. So now, it's totally up to me. I can just leave it sitting like that. Looks pretty cool. Or I have a working drawbridge where I can grab these and pull them up. Okay, so that'll be up to you how you want to use those. All right, so next I'm going to add some columns to the side of my castle here. So I'm just going to be using paper towel rolls, but if you have bigger boxes, I only have tiny ones, you can make giant ones up here so your castle has different levels. But for me, I'm just going to use paper towel rolls for now to show you this. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to notch these out kind of like I did there to kind of show like the ramparts. So I'm just going to cut my little lines just like I did before. So I just got them done not too big, and then I'm going to fold them over just like I did for our castle. Don't worry if they're not perfect. Remember, these represent stone that have survived over the ages and centuries of the castle. So there you go, kind of notched out just like that, like my castle. You can tape the inside of these down if you want to. I'm just going to leave them like that for now. And then all I have to do is attach these to my castle. So for me, I'm going to use glue. And I'm just going to line them up right on the edge and hold it down. So you probably will have to do some dry time for this, but when you're done, you're going to have a very cool rampart and column on the side of your castle. So I'm going to do 2 on either side. Now for you, you can do as many as you want. It's totally up to you how you're going to design this. So I'm just going to stick this other one on right here. And now I have my castle with its ramparts and columns over here. So now we get into kind of just decorating. How do you want your castle to look? You can continue building on this. You can design your castle as big or as bold as you want. But now the nice thing is, let's decorate this so it kind of looks like a castle. If you use square boxes over here, you might want to cut out a little. If you use big boxes on the sides here, maybe you want to cut out some circles. Or you can just draw them. Totally up to you. So let's decorate this box so you can get it ready to look like your awesome castle. I think I'm going to make my drawbridge look like wood. There I have my drawbridge. And decorate this any way you want. You could have some cool items at home that you might want to use. Maybe you want to do some cool polka dots, add whatever. Now, what I always look forward to is I have this big drawer. We all have it in our house. Most people call it the junk drawer. I call it the box of doodads. So you can always go in and kind of see, well, what do you have? What could you add to your ramparts? What could you make look very cool with your castle? Decorating is the fun part. I want you to be creative, but this is how you can design a castle with a drawbridge that opens and closes. And even decorate the inside. Who knows what you might have in there? Maybe you have some Lego figures you might want to bring in, and have a great time with your creativity of building your castle with Boxitects. I hope you enjoyed the book and this build. I can't wait to hear about your awesome creations.